All right, and welcome back. Continuing to work on the elevators. They're getting pretty close to the point of completion. Right here, you see me working on the elevator trim tab motor. I'm blind riveting the motor to the frame that gets mounted underneath the left elevator. So I got my shipment in of the new LP4-3 blind rivets, and so now I'm able to finish working on the right elevator, which is what I have here. The forward spar rivets to the middle ribs by use of the LP4-3 blind rivets. So there's a few sets of those that you'll set in place. And then once you get those in place, you go through and you essentially rivet the majority of the rest of the skin rivets, the flush rivets, to the spar and the rest of the frame. There's still a few that you leave empty. You don't want to rivet just yet because you still need to get access inside the skins. I think it has you finally close everything up after you've glued the rear spar, the rear foam spars in place, or rear foam ribs in place. So it's one of the last steps that you do. You just want to make sure you don't close yourself out from being able to put the rear ribs in, the foam ribs. So like I said, I was waiting on the delivery for the LP4-3 blind rivets. Also ended up having to wait for an order of the double-sided tape. I ran out with only one more piece, the aft wedge, the trailing edge wedge. You put the double-sided tape on both sides, and I had run out before I was able to finish that, so I was waiting on that as well. Finally got that in yesterday, and so I was just finishing everything up, and hopefully over the weekend, or I'm sorry, my weekend, over the next couple days, I'll be able to finish the elevators out. Once I get that done, I'll be starting to work on the fuselage, and that's going to be a bit of a project. I'm looking forward to it, and so not going to rush getting this part done because this is extremely important, trying to get this so that it's straight. That you want to make sure that the trailing edge and the elevators in general are straight, obviously, and that's why it has you, as you're riveting the skins to the frame, it actually has you weigh down the skins, like you saw me do on the left elevator, so that way you can try to ensure that it's straight. So I'm riveting the majority of one side on the bottom skins. Actually, I'm sorry, this is the top skin that I'm working on. And then once I flip it over, I'll place the weights on the bottom skin as I'm riveting that in place. And seemed to work on the left. We'll see how it works out on the right. Didn't seem to be too much of an issue, so once we get everything together and attach the two together with the horns there, then that'll really tell how close I am, and we'll reevaluate once we get to that point. But so far they look okay. So go through and like I said, I'm riveting the top skin to the forward spar, and once I get this done, flip it over, place some weights on the skins to try to make sure that it's straight, and then rivet the bottom skins to the spar. I was checking out some of the wobble here, and that's why I'm moving the clecos a little bit. It looked like it might have been off a little bit, but I think that's more of just the clecos than anything else. Like I said, once it's fully assembled, then I'll take a look at it and make sure that it's as straight as it can be. More than likely for this, I didn't do it for the rudder, but for this, I do have a piece of angle aluminum, and I'll match drill the holes and whatnot, and try to use that when I cleco it in place and go to rivet. I'll see if I can use that. So here's the weights that I was talking about. It's just a board with some things around the garage that are heavier than a couple pounds. Just using it just to make sure that the frame is held in place and that it's weighted down to try to make sure it's straight. As I said before, I think I'm going to go down to Lowe's and try to find some lead weight bags, and just something that you can just lay out on the skins. Not too much weight, obviously, because you don't want to dent the skins, but enough to actually put some weight on it to hold it down in place. So after I finish these elevators, I'll have pretty much everything for the empennage complete, with the exception of the tail cone. Now it's been 4 months, just shy of 4 months. So 3.5 months, and I've gotten the majority of the empennage kit complete. The next part is the fuselage tail cone. I don't think that it's going to be terribly difficult. It's larger, obviously, and there's going to be more rivets, but it's a lot of large pieces that get assembled to the frame. So it's just going to be a matter of matching up the longerons and all that kind of stuff. So I don't foresee that it's going to take me all that long. I think that I'm going to be able to order the wing kit fairly soon, probably by the middle of March, and with an 8-week lead time on those, it'd be middle of May or so before I would actually receive the wings, and that would put me pretty close to the end of where I think I will be completing the fuselage or the tail cone. So I think that I'm actually going to be able to line it up just about perfectly, so that it won't be much of a gap between finishing this kit and starting the wing kit. One of the things I'm going to have to figure out is where I'm going to store everything. It's starting to get a little crowded in this garage, and I haven't built a whole heck of a lot of this airplane just yet, so I got to figure out some things. But I think I'm going to end up building some mounts and placing the vertical stabilizer and the rudder and the elevators all up on the wall in some mounts that I make. That way it keeps them up out of the way, minimize the risk of them getting damaged, and I think it'll be a good way to continue forward and make room for the next kit. The wing kit, it's going to take up quite a bit of room. I'm going to have to rearrange some things. More than likely where the drill press and all that table there is probably going to move, and I'm going to just use that whole center area there to construct the wing. And then I'll build a bracket to store the wings once they're at a point that they can be put on their side. And I'll probably store them next to where I have the horizontal stabilizer in the single bay of the garage. That way it's kind of out of the way, and I have the one area to work on it and then the other area to store it. Anyway, I'm going to let this video run out here. Again, for those that continue to watch these videos, I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time around.